Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of The Cheap Seats. My name is Paul Muklani. I've got the guys here, John Emil, AB, and Dean, and we're going to talk all things happening in the Premier League. It is January, so it's transfer season, but the only team that's been doing any transfer activity is Tottenham, so we're going to be talking all about that. But before then, remember the show is sponsored by Classic Shirts ZA, so please do go check them out. I've got a nice little, that's not nice. It's a team that came close. They flew close to the sun and now they're starting to get burned. They're also deciding which player they need to sell. So I was like, actually, please help Newcastle try keep some of their players and you could go and get a Newcastle home kit from Classic Shirts today. Remember, the discount code is CheapSeats99. I actually like this kit, Jean Emile. I don't know about you. It was obviously you can't do much with Newcastle, but this is kind of like the last season with Castor. So if anybody's sentimental, this is kind of one of those kits that might just be club legendary or club lore, because obviously in 7 years they're going to become like Man City. So you need to get in early, right?
Well, I mean, I still see Tonali there, so that's a bit of a myth. But no, it's a good shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have much to say. Newcastle gives me good memories as a Liverpool fan because can't remember the last time we've lost to them. So go get your Newcastle shirt. That's all I can say.
Yes, and remember that discount code is CheapSeats99. You can go to classicshirts.co.za to go get their shirt, and also on Instagram at classicshirtza. Okay, gents. This weekend we saw something that I think we're not something that was just really hurtful. KDB returned. Newcastle tried their best, but KDB came in and then was like, you know what? We're tired of playing with kids. Let's actually go take this title. Jean, how were you feeling when you saw KDB was playing?
Well, Jurgen Klopp said just before the match, Kevin De Bruyne is warming up and the whole of England is shaking. Basically, the whole Premier League is shaking, and I couldn't agree more. It was horrible. It was like watching something inevitable play out in front of your eyes. And I mean, listen, there's still a title to be won. Don't make that mistake. We are still 2 points ahead, but it's just an awful feeling if you're watching that. I mean, now I think after that match, all of a sudden, I think I saw a mind shift in most fans to kind of put Kevin De Bruyne very much firmly in that category with Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard. So it's actually now a valid debate.
Yes, and you've forgotten Lionel Messi, since he's getting awards for tournaments or things that he didn't play in.
Wow.
AB and Dean, I want to start with AB. 2-2 draw of the weekend. Are you happy that you got a draw, or do you think that United have turned the corner or something?
Guys, that is a 0.1 for United. So I'm really happy. We played like the first 10 minutes of that game, and by played I mean we just ran a lot. That was it. That's what United do. That's our identity. We run hard for the first 10 minutes. It's almost like me at a park run. Somehow someone dragged me there. I don't want to be there. I'm not built for this. I want to be at home on that Saturday morning or on the golf course. And I'll run hard for the first 10 minutes because you're like trying to escape the masses. And then once everyone's past me, then I'll walk. Then I don't care. Then I'll probably just turn around and go back. So yeah, 0.1 for United. I'm happy.
Okay. 0.1 for United. Point lost for you, Dean? Or were you happy to come out with a draw?
I do think 2 points lost, but Old Trafford's not exactly a happy hunting ground for Spurs, and missing 5 or 6 of our top or starting 11, it didn't reflect as badly as what I think it would have reflected in other teams. So, missing a Maddison and a Basuma and Sarr and, Son, I think every Spurs fan, and I think even every United fan, can admit that if those guys were on the park, it would have been a different game. But at the same time, I think we put in a decent show. United hit us both times on the left, which Porro is a fantastic player, but defensively he still has questions about it. So they basically made us turn around and run backwards, and that's what they did. And they scored the 2 goals, and give credit where it's due. But we were the better team on the day. I think everyone can see that. But yeah, kind of walk away with a point and hopefully kick on. Hopefully the rest of the guys are back. We've got that little like 10-day mini break now. So hopefully guys can recover, recuperate, and then push now for the rest of the season.
And you hope, after last night with Bafana losing to Mali, Yves Bissouma is going to be staying in AFCON for a little bit longer.
He's got malaria. He's contracted malaria, Yves Bissouma.
Is that why they took him off?
Yeah, the reports came out today. He's got malaria. So I don't know. I don't think you quickly recover from that. So
they must send him back to North London to recover. Okay, cool. So we wanted to start at the top of the show. We wanted to start with a little bit of a lighthearted one, since nobody's buying anybody, and only Dean's team with Daniel Levy are being able to buy players. Draggers in. Still YouTube FC. It's like, sorry. And you managed to get Timo Werner in. Who is the best ever January signing in the Premier League? So that's the question we were asking. Jean-Emile is here to defend his man. So I'm just going to give you some notable mentions and guys who were signed in January, and then you guys will tell me who the best one was. So in no particular order. Guys were signed in January who made an impact in the Premier League. Arsenal signed Aubameyang in 2018. Seamus Coleman back in 2009 for Everton. Thomas Soucek for West Ham. Yuri Tielemans. Emmanuel Adebayor at Arsenal. Monaco at Arsenal. Mikel Arteta when he moved into the Premier League. If you think cult heroes are cult heroes. Arsenal signed Jose Antonio Reyes. Ashley Young moving from Watford to Aston Villa in 2007. They remember Clint Dempsey, remember him. Branislav Ivanovic, one of the best right backs in the league. If you want to put your hand up there, if you're a Chelsea fan. Jermaine Defoe, Gary Cahill, Philippe Coutinho, Nemanja Matic, Robert Huth. Bruno Fernandes was signed in January, which was a surprise for me. Patrice Evra, Luis Suarez, and this is moving into the guys we might be discussing, Vidic and maybe Virgil van Dijk. Those are the guys who you could say are notables. I'm going to start with AB. Who are you fighting with here as a January signing? Is it Bruno?
No. It's not Bruno. It's, for me, I'm going to be biased. I mean, who'd have thought? So my top 3 is... No, screw it. I don't need to tell you my top 3. They're all United players. You can guess who they are. But for me, it's going to be Andy Cole.
Andy Cole?
Yeah. Look, I mean, he was signed for nothing, right? Because back then, you could sign someone for like £20. But I just think the impact...
issues.
Exactly. The impact he had for so long. So he's still one of the all-time top goal scorers in the league. Obviously, like, Evra and Vidic and Suarez and Virgil are sexy, and Coutinho is sexy, but I don't know. I just think Andy Cole, to get a top class striker, and there's only a few on that list across the line in Jan, to have such a long impact, and I think that's where him and Suarez will probably fight it out. So for me, I'm going on Team Cole. I mean, he scored a ton of goals. He obviously was joint top scorer, I think, for us, or top scorer for us in the 1999 season, where we did some things, and then obviously he fell out. But yeah, I just think Andy Cole, for me, when we look back at great United teams, is always very underrated for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, Andy Cole.
Okay. Jean-Emile, there's a lot of Liverpool players that have been signed in January, most notably Suarez, Virgil, Philippe Coutinho. So you seem to be doing quite a lot of business in January for these star players of yours. What's the best ever signing the Premier League's ever had? Is it a Liverpool player or is it someone else?
Just remind me if Sergio Aguero was signed in January or in the summer transfer window.
I think it was summer. but I'll check while you.
If I don't know, for some reason, if I was gonna,
I don't think he was.
if it was
It was in
a winter
summer.
transfer, it was summer. Okay, well then I'm going with Virgil. I mean, straight away. And I think that's quite an obvious one. As a Liverpool fan, interestingly enough, Suarez. I know it could be debated, and he was one of the most talented players I've ever seen live, and most fans have ever seen live. But the bottom line is, we won one Carling Cup with Luis Suarez, and as much as he nearly dragged us to many cups, I think you just actually have to look at how the entire Liverpool fortunes completely changed with Virgil van Dijk, and he literally revolutionized the team. And that's a January signing, and also the fact that he was, I mean, Liverpool took a massive punt on him, 75 million as a defender back then. I can't remember what the previous record was for a defender before Van Dijk. I think it was David Luiz.
Wasn't it Rio? Or no, Rio was only like 30. No, sorry.
Rio was 30.25,
Yeah, it was David Luiz.
Yeah.
Your guys.
Yeah,
You guys were spending that Coutinho money, eh? It was just after that Coutinho sale, and then you guys had cash to splash.
Yeah, and you could argue that the Coutinho buying him in January led to us being able to sell him for 150 million. But to take a punt on a defender that large, and for it not only to pay off, but for no one to actually even mention the price tag nowadays, I think it's I mean, that for me is just absolutely proof of the pudding.
I like that. I think that for me was the probably the one I was going to go for, largely because he was the key signing in the Klopp era, right? It was the guy that you guys needed to put down in the middle of that defense. And Southampton are now relegated. Hopefully we're not sure if they spent the money well, but I'm sure they enjoyed that world record fee in January. Dean, who's your best ever signing in January?
So I think, I mean, all the names that we've mentioned are definitely there, but I think the one we haven't mentioned is Trippier going from Atletico to Newcastle now was a January transfer as well. And I think in terms of what he's done in the Newcastle side and kind of rejuvenated his career in that right back position, and now also being captain of Newcastle and kind of what he's been able to do there. And Trippier's in that conversation of, he still has some mishaps in him, but he's in that conversation of still some of the best set piece taker. He does provide up on the right hand side, so he would be up there. But yeah, I mean, you can't fault the Van Dijk and the Suarez signings. But trying to be biased here, I do think Pedro Porro is my January signing, best January signing Spurs has ever made, for sure. Because
are you sure?
Well, in recent times,
the guy spent 6 months with us not knowing his name. The only person who knew him was you.
No,
and then all of a sudden, Ange comes in and Pedro Porro. Wow!
He's taken the most shots out of any defender, I think, in the league so far this season, in 33, 34. He's only scored one goal, but he's had the most touches in the opposition half as any defender, which is obviously part of Ange's system. But I think if he keeps playing the way he plays, I think he's going to be in the shot for one of the better right backs in the league for a long time.
So two points there. The same guy who, like 5 minutes ago, we said can't defend.
I know, I just said he couldn't defend, but I'm talking about him going forward.
Also, Spurs have signed Robbie Keane and Jermaine Defoe.
Yes,
in January,
and you went for Pedro Porro.
I'm saying in recent times. Caveated with in recent times, because some of our other January signings end up wasting in the Turkish league, like Clinton and G and Jedson Fernandez and George Kevin and Kudu. Those guys are all in the Turkish league. So like January's been a tough time. Even Steven Bergwijn, he lasted like a year and then he went back to Ajax. So January's not been a great time for Spurs of late. So Pedro.
So what does that mean for Timo Werner and also Dragusin?
I think I'm excited by Werner purely because, and I know we spoke about it last time. It's a on paper, it's a clever signing. It's just a loan. we're paying his wages, and we've got a 17 million buy option in June. So if it works, great. We're picking up a player that you get a trial run. If it doesn't work, you just send it back. So Werner, I'm neither here nor there, and he provides decent cover. I know his shots on Sunday were a lot to be desired, but he did get an assist, so we'll give him credit. The Dragusin one is the one I'm really excited about because it gives us centre-back depth where we're coming from a place of having centre-backs like Tanganga, Dyer, and Sanchez to now having Romero, Mickey van der Ven, and Dragusin. So that centre-back upgrades that we are going through is a big one. And he's 21 years old. He's young. He was a star. Well, not a star, but he joined Juve when he was 16. He was trying to break into that team. He went to Genoa, and he was one of the better defenders in Serie A this season so far. So he's still young.
Good.
He fits the system. And yeah, Ange wants him, so I want him. Simple. So
okay. There was a guy who was playing for Leeds. Joe Rodon. What happened to him? I know he wasn't a January signing, but I was watching Leeds the other day and I saw him. I was like, oh yeah, he used to play for Spurs. That's weird.
Yeah, he's at Stade Rennais, if I'm not mistaken, on loan still. So
okay.
I don't even think like Joe Rodon's family watch him play. Like,
no,
why are you watching him play?
It's only Dean who watches him play. Yeah, but
love your play.
YouTube FC. And it's also if Ange wants him, it's great. Okay. My pick is Vidic. I hated it. I hated him when I played against him. I'm big centre back fan, and he had everything. I can't go for Virgil van Dijk, but if I had to talk about the greatest centre back in Premier League history, I can't look past Vidic, and it hurts me as an Arsenal fan. But yeah, man came, took trophies, was an angry Eastern European. We loved him for that or hated him for that. And yeah, Sir Alex used him as his enforcer. And I can't fight it because Sir Alex had the bunny over pretty much everybody in the league, including us. So yeah, so that was my one. But now, the problem now that we're having in January is that it's the 17th. And the only activity that's going on is Spurs. Reguilon's moving on loan to Brentford. You've got Timo coming in. Obviously, Chelsea have sent players out. Wayne Matson, which was kind of weird because I thought they got him in 6 months ago. He used to be the academy player, but he's also out.
Sancho's weird also. He went to United, didn't even play a game, and then they sent him back.
AB, how do you feel about that? Watching him assist in his first game back. Literally, the guy didn't even spend 48 hours in Dortmund and he's assisting.
And he went back home.
I mean, guys, like it's a Farmers League, right? But I really don't care. This just shows like the bad decisions we make as a club.
Okay, look, I don't think Sancho was a bad decision. There were decisions after him that were pretty bad. But we're not going to talk about that.
The man can't say sorry.
No, why must he? That coach of yours is a problem. We're going to talk about him later.
Did you know Sancho was late for his Dortmund medical? Just if I don't want to talk about that.
Yes, but he played, he assisted, Dortmund's happy. Okay. We're seeing a lack of transfer activity, and the issue comes around this whole FFP thing. We've been hearing probably clubs saying no, they need to find a way to sell players in order to get people in. Case in point, David Raya at Arsenal. That loan can't be made permanent. It's still sitting there until Arsenal manages to let go of a player, and then they can do that. But clubs are being hamstrung by the new rules, which is weird. Well, not weird, but it's now coming to roost. Obviously, Everton and Nottingham Forest are finding themselves in trouble with whatever panel it is, largely because you can't obviously spend more than you are making. Now, Jean-Emile, this obviously affects all of us, right? Including Liverpool and everybody else. But is that the reason why we're not seeing a lot of transfers? Or is it a situation of it's a selling market now where guys are now literally looking to offload players and Saudi Arabia have now closed their doors, seemingly?
Well, yeah, it seems like there's still a bit of PTSD from Saudi Arabia entering the market in full force during the summer. and a lot of clubs, including Liverpool with Mohamed Salah, are closing shop in terms of the selling market themselves. So I think everyone is just very much living with trepidation about what's going to happen in about 5 months' time, and they just don't want to actually risk it with anything, and especially with what's happened to Nottingham Forest and Everton now. You just cannot risk anything, and possibly the African Cup of Nations again in this window has changed the market somewhat, but I wouldn't put it down to that. It is just very interesting. I think everyone is just reassessing how markets work in general, and wanting to play it safe. That's all I can tell from right now. But maybe there's just not the real quality at the good prices needed, and it just comes down to economics.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming down to economics. Look, because I would have expected, like, every team in England at the top of the table needs a striker. You guys managed to get Timo Werner off the scrap heap somewhere. But obviously the likes of Ivan Toney was spoken about, Dominic Solanke's in the news, but no one's seemingly pulling that trigger. Is it being overpriced? Is it because obviously we know what's happened to Everton and Nottingham Forest, and that's fine. But like, I would have thought that by now someone would have made a big move, because you've got about 14 days left until it closes.
Yeah, like I think we mentioned it in the previous show, where you can look at 3 of that top 4 or top 6. Like Chelsea need a 9, Arsenal need a 9, United need a 9, and it kind of speaks to the fact that there isn't really that standout quality number 9 that is available right now. Like, Tony is the name on everyone's lips, but even Brentford or Thomas Frank came out and said it's going to take a monumental bid to try and pry him away, and he's openly said he's important to him and he wants him to play, and obviously the guy hasn't played in 6-7 months or whatever it is. So I think that's why we may not be seeing this sort of normal transfer activity that we do. Like Fabrizio Romano must just go on holiday, right? Like he doesn't have really that much to speak about at the moment. The guy's going to bed early, but I do think there is a little bit of that lack of quality in the specific areas that teams are lacking. Like, we needed a centre back. You can still go to Italy and find a centre back, or you can go around the league and find a centre back. But it's those forward positions where I think there's not that much top end quality that people are trying to add to their squads at a decent price. I think everyone's getting outpriced, or it's just not available. So it's a bit of a weird conundrum, but you never know. There's transfer market 2 weeks to go. Maybe there's a bit of a silly season and those 100 million bids from Chelsea start coming out.
No, but like, my thing is, AB, is that it's a Euro 6 months into, well, in 6 months' time there's Euros, right? So there's always a disgruntled player. But like, obviously Timo Werner is a case in point, right? And you guys are linked with Karim Benzema, so it's Chelsea, which makes it a little bit interesting. Obviously, we saw Jordan Henderson now all of a sudden break his contract. Do you think it'll take like one big move to get others to rejig? And case in point, who could that player be? Because my thing is this: is like, there has to be a disgruntled player who's not playing. But then why aren't people trying to move? Just trying to get somebody through the door, like a Wout Weghorst, or are those signings for the 31st?
I really hope United don't make those sort of signings. So, like, there's that Seru Girassi. I hope I'm saying it right. He's technically available for like £15 million. He's got a release clause here. But again, this guy's done well this season. Is he right for the Premier League? I don't know. Like, just because you do well in the Bundesliga, and I think United just need to stop signing players from the Bundesliga. Just my own personal opinion. And Dortmund in particular. But I don't know. Just from a United perspective, we are clearly, I think Ineos are focused on getting guys out. And right now we can really shift the young talents, but we've got like buyback clauses and sell-on clauses and all that, which is good. It's better than
who's that guy that went to Sevilla now? Hannibal, eh?
Hannibal went to Sevilla, and then Alvaro Fernandez went to Benfica. Yeah. But like, I just don't. And then Charlie, no, not Charlie. It's Joe Hugel went to Notts County, I think. Anyway, but we've got like disgruntled Anthony Martial who wants to play for France, who thinks he can play for France but can't play for France. We know this. We can't get rid of him, so like we're going to let his contract lapse. But like, who out there will start this market? And I don't know who. I can see Chelsea going.
I was hoping Chelsea would, but
yeah, but
right now the FFP police are out here in the streets, and it's really muddy. Like if we didn't, I don't think I think if we didn't have this Everton and Nottingham Forest news this week, I think you would have seen some guys try and do something, try and play with the financial engineering. But because my thing is, are there not other clubs in Europe looking for players? Because even across the continent, you're sitting there going, who's moving?
Yeah, I honestly think it's literally just a strange time and coincidental that everything is happening all at once in terms of clubs being hesitant, but then also within themselves not actually knowing if they can take the next step. Like, for instance, Chelsea, they need a striker desperately, but then Nkunku is just injured and they haven't been able to actually test him properly. Nicholas Jackson is at AFCON. Just things like are happening, and you can't just buy right now and then say, okay, that's going to fix it, because then these players are going to come back, and now you've got yourself a squad which doesn't fit in the changing room anymore, which is exactly why they're in the mess they're in. So that's just Chelsea, and every club seems to be is facing a similar scenario. Man City, they were waiting on De Bruyne, he's back. Liverpool, we very top heavy. The one player I think could be worth a punt and is saying that they might be made available next in summer is Joshua Kimmich from Bayern. That could be a very interesting kind of signing, which could kickstart something. But I just think we're just in a very weird kind of quagmire where everything at the same time is just in limbo, and that's all I can say.
The other thing to add on the FFP, like I saw Man City got issued their hearing date. So I think that's also maybe, it doesn't mean they're going to get 100-point deduction, but
well, I just want last year's trophy. That's all I ask for. I'll have my own trophy parade in North London. I know Jean-Emile will have his trophy parades in Liverpool, so will AB. I just want.
Didn't Tottenham come third in that 2-horse race that one time?
No, yes, we would get a Carabao Cup if City also got that one taken away. So I'll also have my trophy parade. Don't worry.
Can you imagine trophy parades around the country at the same time if it's all given away?
Yes,
that would be
look.
Beautiful.
It would be epic. No, but it'd be like clubs taking the piss, and I love it because like 115 charges is ridiculous. The one thing I wanted to talk about is Newcastle, because Newcastle are in a different situation right now, largely because the FFP police. They need to sell players of value, and Alexander Isak is being thrown around. My question is, Jean, is Isak the right guy they need to sell? I know they need to let go of someone, but not Isak.
I mean, if you're looking for money? I think the best player you could sell is Guimaraes in terms of money, purely. But he is, in my opinion, in the top two. Him and Rodri are the best two defensive mids in the league. And I think Newcastle have to actually build their team around him regardless. No, I think they just need to be coached better. I don't think Eddie Howe's done a great job.
But because obviously the PIF is going to be like, we might need new players, Dean, and then they're like, but we need to sell. It was just a weird thing last week when Alexander Isak was being shopped around, which is something that I wouldn't have expected, but nobody's got money. That's
I
the
think
problem.
and I've seen the debate of Tony versus Isak, but I would take Isak in that conversation. Like, I think he offers you a little bit more than an Ivan Tony does in that sort of number 9. And I think from a Newcastle perspective, they've got Isak and they've also got Callum Wilson, who it seems like he's injured more than what he's ever played in his entire life. So
yeah,
they would rather want to get rid of the guy that doesn't play, but they do have to generate this money. And I even saw like Bruno's in Paris, and then there's links to PSG. So it's this weird sense around Newcastle. I think
their
they
big
kind
problem.
of it's coming to roost now. Like they were a little bit big, or they thought they were in the top 4. So that's a joke. And Champions League football got knocked out. They must go home. I've got no time for Newcastle. I got no time.
Well, look, they also have an Italian who's suspended, and okay, he won't be going to jail.
Yeah.
Rose is going to jail. But yeah, I think like Sandro Tonali not being available just hurt them so much. But it's just, I just find it very interesting that they're in this situation right now, and effectively they'll have to wait until the summer to improve that squad. So that means Lewis Miley's going to get a lot of games, and Lewis Hall's going to get a lot of games. It's an interesting thing because I honestly do hope that in the next 14 days we'll start seeing a little bit more activity, even if it's loans. Guys just need to start moving. But it's a really, really tough situation. And maybe Saudi Arabia will open their window, but it's still Asia Cup, so yeah. I don't know if they're going to do that. Okay,
I think Newcastle. Sorry, just to Jean Mille's point, like, I do think Eddie Howe has reached what he can do with that Newcastle squad.
Guys.
I 100% think so. Like, he's got them this far, and I think it's up to here and no further. Like,
okay, so my thing is with that, and I don't know if you guys agree, is Mourinho's is gonna, but they can't spend. That's the issue, right? Unless they're gonna wait until June. But my thing is just stay until June, make a decision then, and see how it is. It doesn't hurt you to miss Champions League again unless if they want to be perennial Champions League teams. But the issue with Eddie Howe is the injuries and the unavailability of Tonali. I think because I looked at that, they only made one sub against City.
Wow.
And that was Lewis Hall. But if you look at that bench, there's no way he's bringing on Jamal Lascelles. Like we saw what he did when he played all those games. So he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. But yeah, if you want to be trigger happy, be trigger happy. But I don't think Mourinho's the answer for this team yet.
We'll talk about it when you talk about United. I've got a very different perspective of coaches now that Andrew's in the league.
Speaking of a manager who was fired, Jose Mourinho was fired. Dean said Newcastle should consider Mourinho. My question to AB to start off with, and then everyone else, should United seriously consider Jose Mourinho, as in fire Ten Hag now?
Like right now?
Jose in. You've got a break. Yeah, no, you're not playing a game this weekend. You can just get him in. Jose will be in the dugout in 2 weeks on a Saturday, and you guys are good and go.
I think Ten Hag's job is safe until the end of the year. I don't see him, like, we're out of everything really. So if that didn't fire him, nothing will until the end of the season. But I definitely think they should really consider Jose because Ineos, they're still not official yet, right? They still got to get through Feb, and then they can like get audited and all of that and ratified. Like the deal still needs to be ratified. But like Jose has got a great record wherever he goes, but he's a 2-season manager. So if you need someone for 2 seasons, maybe he's your guy, because I don't know other coaches out there who's available who will come in after Ten Hag, because Ten Hag is done. I don't see him surviving starting next season. So if Jose comes in for 2 seasons and then he goes and coaches Portugal or whatever, it wouldn't be the worst option, but it's going to be what Ineos wants. But I think they should look at him, because when he was at United, he was controversial. He fell out with lots of players, but that's Jose. Eric's doing the same thing, right? But Eric is losing a lot more than Jose ever did. And we can't have that. We can't have that next season. So Ten Hag is 2 games away from matching the total amount of losses that Jose had at United, which is wild.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Jose said that his achievement of 2nd place at United was his best ever.
Yeah.
Now, in retrospect, and that his name is being floated about, would you actually revise that statement and say, yeah, sure, it's actually pretty true?
No, it is true though, because when Oli did it and when Jose did it, like you can see what the board was like, right? Like, I mean, apparently what Ineos are doing right now is they're lifting up under the skirt and they're like, this is an absolute joke. And we've seen all the leaks, right? Like our scouting is broken, our signing is broken, our recruitment team is just broken. Like everything about United is broken. So when Jose got us to 2nd, and he got us to 2nd by far, there was like 10, 12 points between us and City.
Yeah.
That was great. Like I think Jose under proper leadership at Old Trafford, which is something we haven't had in a long time, would be very interesting. I just think now at the twilight of his career is probably a little too little.
The guy's got like 10 years of coaching. What do you mean by twilight?
I don't know. I don't think his tactics are relevant anymore. His style of play. I don't think he's. I mean, imagine Jose coaching Andre Onana in goal. You can't have that. Like,
That's
if Jose
the
comes
first
in,
person he's going to sell.
exactly. And then we've wasted this whole thing, right? Like, and Bayindir can't play for the manager who signed him, so we have no goalkeeper.
That was just serious drama on Monday. I just couldn't believe, like.
But you give Jose a player like Casemiro's going to do well. You give Jose Kobe Mainoo's going to do well. Rashford and Jose, I don't know right now. Sancho's gone. Højlund will work, but like, I mean, there's Jose needs a brand new team there. So I don't know.
Do you think a new manager would need a new team? Because if you get anybody new, that team is built to play a certain type of football under a certain manager. So the only question for me would be, I'd say don't consider him, largely because you've already gone down this road of this modern football, this inverted fullback type of football. So why not go get somebody who can just do that, and then over time, over a year or 18 months, change this team into, or have a director of football do that. But
this United team has got Graham Potter written all over it. Like, it's literally, if they get rid of Ten Hag, it's Graham Potter immediately, I think. Like,
yeah,
Jim
that's
Ratcliffe
news to John Emil's ears.
Jim Ratcliffe has already said that he's into it, and I agree with you that if United go and sign a Mourinho, I think that is a massive signal that it is they hit the reverse gear and they in a club that's continuing to go backwards or trying to look over their shoulder and what's worked or what hasn't worked and trying to go back to it.
And also after 3 seasons, Jean-Emile, Mourinho is just going to implode, just like he did at Roma. And everywhere else he's been.
And you're gonna buy an entire new squad just to suit Mourinho to come back, and then it's like a quick fix all over again. You're just going on reputation. No, I think Dean's absolutely spot on. You need fresh ideas, fresh blood, and you need to back your manager. But hell, you need to get rid of that board ASAP. Like
so
ASAP.
The board won't leave, right?
Yeah,
the Glazers will still stay there. We're just trying to get more football-orientated people on that.
Nothing will work until that venom is sucked out of the wound. I promise you, nothing will.
Look, I was very excited today on Twitter when I saw that we're buying a golf course or want to buy a golf course. I'm excited about that for a training ground. I'm happy.
Oh! I was about to be like, what? Manchester United hosting live event and the like. But here's my thing. Here's the idea around the Mourinho. That dressing room has now got some weird characters in it. Onana is not a United player. I don't think he is to use the word professional on him is being kind, to say the least. No, I'm angry about what he did for Cameron. I'm like, dude, what were you expecting? But that's the type of antics you guys are that you've brought in, right? There's the Anthony situation, and even on the field, the guy doesn't give efforts. Some of the I know Lisandro Martinez is a warrior, but is he that type of player for United? But my thing is, the squad that Ten Hag is struggling with, and the reason why he's struggling is that Uggs just grew a big head. He's managed to get rid of Jadon Sancho, but there are a few more who are coming down the line who are going to cause problems for him. And a manager like Jose would just shut everyone up, bench people. You watched in his all or nothing for Spurs when who was that left back who wanted to play, and Jose was just like
Danny Rose.
Yes, Danny Rose.
He was trying to go to AC Milan, remember?
He's still looking to go to Milan.
Exactly, but he shuts that up, and he kind of takes everyone back to kind of like those Sir Alex days where, if you got too big, you got shipped out. Wouldn't that be a consideration outside of all the football elements?
Guys, McTominay would start every game under Jose. You know this.
As the passion merchant.
Yeah. But he'd play well, though. He would play well because he played to Jose's philosophy.
You can't fault some of Jose's calls. Like, even during his time at Spurs, he was very open with like Dele Alli and said, you have the world's potential, but if you don't work hard, it's not going to come to you. And it came to fruition. It was exactly what happened. So there's no doubt that Mourinho's got a fantastic footballing brain. He wouldn't be who he is. But you look at some of the Roma fans now, and it's not like they're sad that he's leaving. I think they had some of the lowest points per game that they've had under any other manager. And yes, he won I think it was the Conference League or the Europa League with Roma. I can't remember which one. And yes, he brought them a European trophy. And there is achievements that he's brought, but it's again at the sacrifice of lob it up, hope you get the ball, and maybe score a goal. Like, that is the Jose way now. And the tactics are outdated. And I think in a league like the Premier League, those tactics get found out even quicker than Serie A or French league or German league or whatever it is. I think he's gone from the special one to the sacked one. I saw someone tweet that.
like Eric Ten Hag's tactics are getting found out very quickly.
Ten Hag is is the worst.
So anything is better than Carrick is better than Ten Hag. Like, just bring him back for the rest.
The Zorbi?
No.
I mean, okay, wait.
No.
Let's calm down.
Not with that squad.
Yeah.
You're gonna see the Italian De Zerbi, the one who was in Italy, not the one who's at Brighton. No, because the thing for me with that squad is you look at it and you're like, what were they doing? They've got no sense of direction. They've got no young players to look, because that's the thing with Manchester United. It was always a youngish core that was driving the club forward. That youngish core is either gone very young, or it's some guy from Copenhagen who we hope next year can be great. And then obviously Marcus Rashford's fallen off a cliff. Kobe Mainoo's great, but everyone else around him just has lost it, right? Scott McTominay's decided to become Ronaldo instead of actually, being what Scott McTominay is as a defensive midfielder. So, like, if I'm a manager, I won't touch that with 10-foot pole, which is why Mourinho makes sense, because Mourinho would be like, I can take these misfits and make them work. Yeah. And what might happen is he might even take Lukaku and bring him over. You guys will hate it, but he would make him work better than Rasmus.
Well,
so,
Tammy Abraham, for example, would work.
Well, look, and to a certain extent, it's a question of which manager is willing to put their name down on the squad. Because I don't think even Graham, if Graham Potter takes the Manchester United job in the summer, he must be the most foolish man in the world, because there's no way you're going to turn that thing around, that squad around. It's an island of misfit toys. Yeah. You guys wanted Aaron Wan-Bissaka out before the summer. He's now one of your best players. You wanted Harry Maguire gone. He's now sitting at centre back. You bought a Rolls Royce of a defender in Rafael Varane. Somehow, somebody needs to tell me what he did to be benched. Casemiro obviously now had a few burgers with Luke Shaw. So what? And then you've got the Anthony situation because he just might not even be available to play, and you might have another Mason Greenwood situation on your hands. So which manager's going to sit there? Because you come in there and you're like, that's a £500 million overhaul, if at best.
Not even.
And you think a Conte could work at United?
But it's the same person, right? Mourinho, Conte, same guy.
Similar.
It's guys
And
who want to
same-
rebuild
similar
their
tactic.
careers. Yeah.
But at least the
But then-
Mourinho's not at going back to what we've already had. It's a forward step.
No,
to a
But Dean,
similar-
you know this.
I would love Conte to go to United because it'll implode.
Jose's
No,
lost by
because
half
next
points,
year we'll be sitting here next year in June, and Conte's going to give them this long list of players for 200 million, and it will be it'll be wing backs, and it'll be defensive midfielders, and then everyone's going to be like, it's not the United way. He's going to play, and then the following January in 2026, we're going to be sitting here going, Conte needs to go. So exactly. So I just look, United's a big brand. It's gonna be tough. That's why I think Mourinho would work. You know?
Give it to Big Sam till the end of the season.
Oh.
Yes.
Look, guys, we've got 8 points to go, and then we are safe. So maybe Sam can.
I remember, Everton's might lose another 10.
No.
That's a massive thing. Like that's huge.
What's the
but
Forest
don't
coach who got fired? What's his name again? Steve Cooper. Get Steve Cooper.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
signs
get
everywhere.
Frank. Frank will make this thing work. He's got Mason Mount as well. So forgot about him.
I forgot Mason Mount existed, legitimately.
He's on number 7. Oh my
Forgot he
word!
existed.
Oh, anyone who has played in the Eredivisie is not allowed to play for Man United anymore.
It's wild.
The one thing I wanted to say though on this whole coaching topic though
Yeah.
is I do think this myth of coaches need time and they need to settle in and the whole I think this Ange just ripped that to shreds. Like he 100% just ripped it to shreds. Like if you have a strong enough coach that has a set game plan, there's only one thing that can then derail it, and that's your change room or your dressing room. That if they don't buy in, then it's never going to work. But if you have players that they don't even have to completely fit the role, but if a good enough coach can get the players to play in a system that's these guys are professional footballers. Like they should be able to, switch on and be able to, if they actually want to play, they'll be able to play. But I think Ange has ripped that. And obviously I'm the biggest Ange fan, but I do think you look at him, he's been here for 6 months and he's made us who we are. And it's because he's got his tactics. He doesn't waver. He gets the guys to buy in and he's a good coach. And I think that's the point. Like he's a good coach. And you can see with a Ten Hag, he's just not a good coach. And the evidence just keeps building up. And there might be problems with the dressing room with like the Sanchos and the Antonys. We know that. But at the same time, you get found out a lot quicker now. And I think even more so, fans should be a lot more strict or want a lot more from these new coaches because you can do it if you actually want to do it. And if you believe in your tactics and you're unwavering, it just proves that it's possible. This whole give the manager a year and a half, 3 years, 4 years squad that he built, like it's nonsense. The guy turned Ben Davies into a centre back that can play in a high line. Like what? It doesn't happen. So
I'm 50-50.
That's my 2 cents.
I'm 50-50 because if Spurs were sitting in 7th, you'd be like, let's give him time, even though he may be showing you shoots of this. I just think he had a squad and Big Ange's mentality and how he sees football and players who can play in the system works with Daniel Levy's inability to put down the big money for big name players. I didn't get the Brennan Johnson signing. I still
He's
don't.
still young.
I like Brendan Johnson. He's
No,
great.
but that's like the reason why I call you guys YouTube FC is that it's a bargain hunting, and it works for him because he works with guys who don't have a lot of ego, who are trying to prove themselves, who can be molded into this little format. But if you take another coach inside there, let's say Ange left, you'd have the same situation as Manchester United. The coach is going to come in there and be like, I don't want Pedro Porro, I want the guy who defends. Destiny Udogie, same thing. So I think it's the same for everyone else. It's just obviously maybe Ange can get the best out of the players, similar to what Jurgen does. Jurgen can get guys to run through walls. That's what his MO was. It's just, and he's great tactically, right? But
that's the point, right? Like we look at Ange, he got a system. He walked into a Spurs team that was pretty fresh. Like there was the guys that were fairly new and they hadn't been molded into a Conte or Mourinho or a Poch way. Like he got a fairly new squad and it probably all things clicked and it has worked, right? But then you look at a Klopp, look at the team he inherited. Like there was Nathaniel Klein and Skirtle and those kind of oaks, which you then say the problem isn't Klopp, it's the dressing room. And then, my point is like that distinction needs to be made. And if you've got a great coach, you trust the coach and the dressing room will change over time. But if you have a dressing room which can perform and has performed in the past, and then you get a coach that isn't performing anymore, you have to point the finger at the coach as well. So, and even more so now, I feel like I'm going to expect a lot more from a coach. And that's why the greats like a Klopp, a Pep, I'm not going to put Ange in that bracket, but they will get the guys to play.
You want to.
But
you want to put
Ange isn't like a nice guy, right? Like I mean, if you like see Ange at a bar, he's going to be like in there. He's just going to ask for whatever beer's on tap. He's a simple dude. He'll take what he can get and he'll work with it.
And that's Spurs' transfer model. He takes whatever he can get.
But like with Erik ten Hag, he wants to like he'll ask the bartender what the whiskey menu is. He'll open the menu. He'll find the most expensive whiskey. He knows nothing about whiskey. And then he'll order a whiskey and he'll like pretend to like it, but he doesn't know what whiskey is. So I like Ange. He's just a nice guy. I'd have a beer with him.
Everyone loves Ange except for Arsenal.
The one thing about Spurs that helped them out was that Harry Kane sale. I think that kind of helped you guys be able to, make the most out of that Harry Kane bill. But that talent identification, the scout identification worked, and that's for Manchester United. That's what Ineos needs to figure out. You need to be able to identify talent, and you need to have to bring it in. If it's using Nice as a playing ground and as a feeder system, then it could work. But you need to figure out a way. I think United need to figure out an identity through a director of football, and I think that's the first thing they need to get. If it's Mourinho, Mourinho as a director of football would be wild.
That would be
insanely
so wild.
But yeah, and that's to a certain extent what it is. Before we go, Jean-Emile, Ivan Toney's coming back. Does he score this weekend?
Possibly, yeah.
Are you going to bet on it?
That was the first comment when he made that announcement that he's coming back. Finally, he had a gif, and someone was like, "Are you gonna you should put a fiver to score?" It's just, man, 8 months out is a brutally long time for a guy his age and at the peak of his prowess. I want to see him do well again. I think it would benefit the Premier League and Brentford massively. I also love Thomas Frank as a manager. I would look at him as a potential Jurgen Klopp replacement one day. So all things being said, I want them to succeed, just not against Liverpool.
Yeah, well, you guys are playing Bournemouth this weekend, so there's a bit of a revenge situation with Dominic Solanke, but we'll talk about it. But how are you feeling about Bournemouth?
No, I think we can win. I think our players like Jota, Nunez, and Gakpo can actually rise to the occasion without Salah now. I mean, I think there's just this annoyance that the club has right now with injuries and being like, and looking at City and being like, they're there. They've got those 115 charges. I think any single time we ever mention City in the future, we have to say Kevin De Bruyne is brilliant and City have 115 charges. We have to put them in the same bracket until these things actually get looked at. And now Liverpool's just got this kind of like, let's go for it. This is the real chance that we have to go and win the league with City at their best. So we got to just do it.
Okay. that looking behind your shoulder thing is the weirdest thing ever, and they're just always there, just always there. Dean and AB. Dean, I'll start with AB. How are you feeling about your weekend with no Manchester United?
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm excited. I think United play Notts County next, so that's after the next show. So it's really, really, really chilled. Lots of golf planned, but I'm very excited to see what Solanke will do against Liverpool. I think he's got a point to prove, but it's going to be a good match regardless because Bournemouth are flying and Liverpool. I think if Bournemouth score first, it would make things really, really good. But if Liverpool take the lead, I think they'll just shift into world-class mode and take that game. But yeah, exciting. Don't Arsenal play this weekend?
Crystal Palace, London Derby.
Ooh.
Roy Hodgson
Ooh.
2.0. We're back at it again. Crystal Palace. I'm on it. But look, we'll see what Arsenal look like after their summer holiday in Dubai. Hopefully, Gabriel Jesus has found his scoring boots. And somehow this team actually can score goals. But Dean obviously is shaking his head because he's going to be watching clips of Ange coaching South Korea at the Asian Cup to kind of get a sense of the type of players he wins tournaments with.
I saw one of the guys we were linked with in the summer, Gift Auburn, has agreed a deal with Lyon. So there's one of our YouTube FC recruits gone. So, bleak. But this weekend, I'm pretty interested to see West Ham because no Paqueta, Bowen's probably injured, Kudus is gone, and West Ham are sitting, I think it's fifth, they're above United. I think they're just 34 points or something like that.
Everyone is above United, even Everton are above United.
But West Ham they've kind of like creeped up there and had this.
Yeah, no, this is the beginning of the slide.
It's the beginning of the end for them.
They had a horrible FA Cup tie.
They lost to Bristol.
But that's what you get with
Moyes.
David Moyes. It's feast and famine. But that's what the Premier League does. They've got enough money to buy all these stars, but now, you get them coaches that don't do much. Because like Lucas Paqueta needs to leave West Ham as soon as possible. I know, Jean-Emile, you said Bruno Guimaraes out of Newcastle. No. Lucas Paqueta needs to leave that West Ham team. But we don't have money to buy players, it seems, in the Premier League, so that's it. So let's close out the show. Thank you very much, gents. Enjoy the football. If your team's not playing, enjoy whatever time you're going to do spending with your family. Outside of that, the rest of us will be stuck inside North London derbies and someone's playing Bournemouth as well. So, we're just trying to fight off City as much as we can. Outside of that, goodbye and le sale. Kakahiso. Yeah.